Hi guys, it's Mrs. C here with Cycle 1, Week 14. I got to be director for the day and help out my director while she was taking care of a sick family. So I really kept my tutoring simple because I was also helping out with all of that. So I will just jump in and tell you what we did. So ancient Africa, I'm really trying this year to not just show the kids locations, but really help them connect them all together to the other locations on the map. And then also a lot of our geography is tied into our history. And so just pointing out those things as we are going through geography, saying, listen for Ghana later while we're talking, listen for Mali later, all of that stuff. So that just to kind of help them start making all of those connections. So I like to usually start at the top of the map and work down if I have the option. So we just started with Tangier, then Fez, then we went to Western Sahara, ancient Ghana, and ancient Mali. So I was using the Blackline Master Map, and it's kind of hard to tell exactly where ancient Mali is on there. If you look on the colored map, I didn't have one of those I did have one at home. I just forget because it's in my kids' stuff and it's not in my tutor's stuff. So I should have got one of those out. On the app, it also just kind of looks a little different. So I didn't come up with anything clever except I kept saying that ancient Ghana was a Bali and like a ball because it's a circular area, a Bali that sits on ancient Mali. That's all I got. They rolled their eyes at me, but that's fine. I generally find that when they roll their eyes at me, that they end up remembering what I say later. So I feel like it's actually more like a thumbs up. An eye roll is a thumbs up to me. So then we went over to English and did helping verbs. So I have several kids going for Memory Master. So I did ask them if they wanted to learn a song for it, if that would be helpful, or if they prefer to do a chant, because all of our prepositions have that wonderful prepositions kind of chant, and we don't really have anything official for the helping verbs. So we're going to try to do the song. If they don't seem to like the song, then we'll probably just go to chanting them. But the beginning of the song gives the definition of a helping verb, and it goes, helping verbs, help another verb assert an action, being or existent. Helping verbs make lots of sense. So that's the beginning of the song. A lot of them already had this definition memorized, but for those that didn't, I hope the song will be helpful. The song continues on, so that's the beginning of the song, and then you go into singing the helping verbs. So I probably will continue that for a few weeks and see if they're liking it and if it sticks. Then we went into math, linear equivalence. I offered to let them get up and do, like I do with my younger classes, the teeny tiny baby steps for the centimeters and then larger steps for the feet and so on and so forth. And they literally groaned and said no. So I didn't make them do that. And I told them that's fine, but we have to say it 7 times. So we said 2.54 centimeters equals 1 inch, 12 inches equals 1 foot, 5,280 feet equals 1 mile, and 1 kilometer equals 5/8 of a mile 7 times. I did, again, just try and help those that are doing Memory Master if they are having trouble remembering. I saw someone suggested that the 5,280 feet that you can remember as 5 tomato, which I know sounds weird, but 280, 5280 tomato. If you have trouble remembering that yourself, maybe that will help. Then we went over to do history. And so for history, I found these, and I did not write down the lady's name on CC Connected, but I will find her name and put it in the description. And it was so annoying because she actually had it on the paper, and I cut these out late last night and then tossed all the extra paper. It is the entire history sentence written out. Pretty much each word is on its own little paper. And when you look at the history sentence, you'll know that that's a lot of words. So there's a couple, like I think the Mali is on there, but even a lot of the articles, the and a, are by themselves on a little piece of paper. So normally I have an even split of boys and girls. We were missing a student today, but I still just split it boys and girls. So I gave them each a baggie. Each had a history sentence. We read through it once, and then I gave them their bags, and they started putting the history sentence together while we listened to the song. They seemed to like that pretty well. I think they thought it was going to be a lot easier, and then they realized how many words were in this and how many little pieces of paper were in here and putting them together. So they seemed to enjoy that. And it did take up probably, and it didn't take up a ton more time, but it probably took up slightly a little bit more time. But it's okay because it seems like all of our stuff except for history was like a little bit shorter today. So it all worked out okay. For Latin, they have our Latin down. I've really got to work to figure out how I'm going to make this more interesting to them. But we just said it quickly. We just went through it. I reminded them just to help them remember how I remember them. Nominative, like name. If we have a subject in our sentence, what is like the name of the person we're talking about, nominative, or nominate someone, just different ways for them to remember that's the subject. Genitive, possessive. So I was saying like genitive makes you think of gender, and I think of like his and hers, and those are possessive pronouns. So that's just how I remember it in my head. Dative, it's like all these random data points, like we don't have anything associated with them. They're just kind of random. We don't know anything about them. So they're indirect objects. They're just kind of there. And then accusative is saying like, I accuse you. And so you're like pointing, it's directed at somebody, and accusative. And then ablative, I have nothing for. We just remember that it's the object of the preposition. So that was Latin. Science, with our 3 types of rock. I expanded on this just a little bit because they are older and they're going Challenge A next year, and there's only 3 types to remember, so I felt like I could take a little extra time. If you don't have this book for later this year when we're identifying rocks, this is an excellent book. It's the Basher Science, Rocks and Minerals, a gem of a book. And it has all the different types of rocks in it, and then beginning of each chapter, it has a little like bio about the type of rocks, and it lists the types. So I didn't read this whole part. I kind of glanced through it to see if there's anything interesting to tell them about sedimentary rocks. But I did want to read to them some types of different rocks because I feel like when we learn about these, it's like, oh, rocks, wow. But, if I say clay, it's like, oh, I've heard of clay. And flint, a few of our boys, I think, have been Boy Scouts, so they, used flint before. Limestone, coal, so they've heard of several of these. And then I did the same thing for our igneous and metamorphic, just showed them out of there a little bit. And then my son, sorry about that. My son got this book at Sam's, and they have a lot of different one of these with the science one. I hadn't really looked through it before, so I just found it last night and thought I'm going to flip through that and see. And they have a whole chapter in here on rocks. So again, I didn't take a ton of time to do this, and technically, this is something should be done at home with the parents. But since the kids are older, I'm just trying to make rocks a little more fun. It has a picture of the rock cycle in it. And so I just wanted them to understand that just because there's a sedimentary rock, it does not always stay a sedimentary rock. Just because it's igneous does not mean it's always igneous, that they can change. And an igneous rock becomes an igneous rock when melting and cooling happening. And a sedimentary rock becomes a sedimentary rock when erosion and compacting happen. And then a metamorphic rock becomes metamorphic when heat and pressure are applied. So that things can change. That's why you can have the same types of minerals and different types of rocks. So anyway, this has a ton more information for at-home use, or when we get later in the year when we're identifying rocks. This would be a good one to use for that. This is the everything you need to ace science in one big fat notebook. It says the complete middle school study guide. So try to lay this down gently and not knock my phone off the table again. And then the very last one that I brought in is this Usborne Complete Book of the Microscope. I don't know if they still have this anymore. It was given to me. But inside of this, it has sand and rock. And I just thought it'd be cool to show them real fast. Again, this was just quickly done while we were saying these. These are actually tiny grains of sand. And this is granite blown up with a special filter to see all the different types of minerals in it. And I just kind of wanted to bring rocks to life a little bit for them today. We will talk about this more later in science. So this was just, I literally kind of showed them, briefly described these things to them. They're getting old enough that they can start hanging some things on their memory pegs, and I feel like it helps them get it stuck in their memory a little bit better. So That's what I did. You're not required to do that. You can just say sedimentary metamorphic igneous. I made a joke about the metamorphic Power Rangers, and they also rolled their eyes at me on that one. So guessing that one will stick. Okay. For timeline, I didn't bring my cards in, they're outside. For timeline today, we just sang through them very, very quickly a few times. And I laid them all out in front of the table because I know I'm not always good about getting them out for my kids to see at home, which is probably bad of me. I mean, I don't know what the point of having them if I'm just using them once a week is. I need to get them out and let my kids see them and read them. But I got them out and let them kind of look at them and just ask them, like, did they know what each of these events were? Like, had they heard of them? When they hear them in the timeline, does it mean anything to them? Did they have one that was a favorite out of the 7? It was just a nice moment for them to kind of really look at the timeline cards rather than just singing the song. And so we talked a little bit about the Council of Trent, which the hand motion for that is 3 fingers going into kind of like looks like a pocket. And that is when they kind of decided that the Godhead or the Trinity was 3 people in one. And so that's what the Council of Trent was about. It's not just Trent getting together all his friends and talking about video games. So we talked about the Baroque period, and we took a minute to look at the art because we were going to be moving into art. And so talked about the Baroque period and how it's super fancy. Like if you look at all the clothes and the pictures and on the Baroque period card, like they're very super fancy. Everybody has like a cane or like something extra, and they've got frills, and the colors are very intense, and there's a lot of pictures. Like it's just very extra. And we just talked about how that was very different than the art we were going to be studying today. So that was a nice little segue into that, and just trying to again bring these memory pieces more to life for them. So for Ghiberti, I never know if I'm pronouncing these names right. I definitely know it's not Ghiberti, which is what we were joking around with the kids today, but Ghiberti. We did tinfoil press for today, so we actually took and did impressions rather than what he did, which was kind of mold the metal over things, but it's same concept. And if you have a CC Connected subscription right now, user Keppel, she has, these are the trifold things, and they have really few great pictures. This is a close-up of his face that is on the Gates of Paradise. So that was really nice to have to share with the kids. And I found this really quick last night. Again, I'm sorry, I really need to write usernames down, but I do these late and then I forget to. There's also a nice little biography, like just bullet points about Ghiberti on there if you're looking for something like that. So anywho, I won't go over science and stuff because that is not my forte, and there are many other people who do that better than I do. So I hope that is helpful to you guys. I will be back next week with week 15, and I'm going to be subbing for Essentials, so pray for me. All right, guys, I will see you next week. Bye.